All right, welcome back to part 2 of programming asteroids. We left off having our ship in the middle of the screen, looking nice. Today we are going to talk about rotating that ship and using user input. So we want to set up a couple variables for this. We want to set up a float called rotation. We want to set up a float called max speed. And if you notice, I'm going to do all caps on max speed because that's going to be a constant value. So one best practice when programming is that if you know you're going to have a constant value, programmers like to do all caps so that they know this is going to be one value and only one value the whole program. We're not going to be changing it at all. So we set up those two variables. We can instantiate these variables, which basically just means that we're giving them their initial value. So we're going to set our rotation to 0, and we are going to set our max speed equal to pi divided by 50. And if you notice, pi is in all caps because that is also a constant value. And it's also built in to processing. If you look it up in the reference page, you have the constants down here, all in caps, and pi is one of them. So, next thing we're going to do is we are going to have to be updating the position of rotate. So, we are going to set up a void update function so we can keep our update properties separate from our render properties. We're going to call update in the draw method. So every draw method run, all right, every time that draw runs, it's going to update our code and then it's going to draw our code. Okay, so in the update, we're going to do all of our calculations. So one of the first things what we want to do is we want to set the rotation equal to the rotation plus the max speed. So what this is going to do is every update, 60 times a second, we are going to add 1/50th of pi to the rotation, right? And so processing works with radians, so you have 2 pi is equal to a whole time around the circle. So roughly a little over every like maybe 2.5 seconds, somewhere around there, the ship should go all the way around the screen, if my math's right. Next, we are going to, we could run this, but we don't have it drawing the rotation at all. So what we have to do is we have to add, let's just rotate. Okay, so this is a function in processing we could go look up. Let's rotate, and we're going to pass in the rotation variable into where our ship is getting rendered. So let's run this and see what happens. Perfect. Our ship's going around and around, but we have one problem, is that it keeps drawing new ships every time. So the way that we're going to fix this is we're going to, every time we run render, we are going to reset our background to black. So that this way, when our render code runs, it's going to set the backdrop of the screen to black, and then it's going to redraw everything in the new position. So let's run that and see what happens. Perfect. Our ship is now going around in a circle. All right, so now it's time to add some user input. So one thing we're going to want to do is we are going to add an int, and we're going to call it is rotating. Okay, and so then we are going to set that initially to 0. And the reason why I'm using an integer is because I want to keep track of whether the ship is going left, right, or is it staying still. So we couldn't use a Boolean because that only keeps track of true and false. So that only keeps track of 2, like it could keep track of like if it's going left or right. But I need to keep track of all 3. So we're going to say that a 0 means that the ship is not moving. we're going to say that a 1 is when it's moving right or clockwise, and a -1 is when it's moving left or counterclockwise. Okay, you can see that a little better there. So then what we need to do is in our update, we need to add some logic to this. So if rotation or is rotating is equal to -1, we're going to do what's in here, and this is going to be again for the left moving counterclockwise. We are going to say that the rotation is equal to the rotation plus the max speed. So I'm going to cut that and paste it in here because now we want to move a specific direction based on key presses. And then we can say else if is rotating is equal to 1. This will be the right. We can do the opposite. So we can say rotation is equal to rotation minus the max speed. So basically what this code is saying is that if we are rotating to the left, we're going to add the max speed to go around counterclockwise. And if we're rotating to the right, we're going to subtract the max speed to go around clockwise. And then if it's at 0, we won't do anything. So then what we can do is we got to do some key press stuff. So what we can do now is at the bottom, I'm going to put it below the render function, we can add in the key press code. So there's a function built in to this, we'll type in key press, boom, right there, key pressed. So the way you do this is you say void key pressed, and then this is your key press logic right in there. So we'll do void key pressed, boom. And what we want to do is we want to find out what the key codes are for our left and our right arrow. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do a trick called a print line, and we're going to enter in the key code to the print line. And what print line does is it's going to, anytime a key is pressed right now, it's going to write it to our console, which is right down here at the bottom. So if I run this code, we have our ship, and I can do, this is the right one, so 39 is our right, and 37 is our left key code, and that's going to be important to write down. So then what we can do is we can set up some if statements. So if the key code is equal to 39, we're going to do some stuff. Remember, this was the right. And then we're going to do else if the key code is equal to 37. We're going to do some stuff, and this is the left. Okay, so in the right, we want to set the player. We want to set the is rotating variable to -1. And in the left one, we want to set the is rotating variable to 1. Then what we also want to do, because this will just mean that hopefully in the left and right it's working. We can check it real quick, actually. So if I click on make sure you click on your program window before you test this, because sometimes it won't work. If you hit left, it goes around counterclockwise, right, clockwise. Perfect. So the one thing we don't have is when you let go of the key, it doesn't stop the moving. So if we do void key released, again, you can go look this up on the reference page if you want more information on it. Then we can just set, when the left and right keys are released, we're just going to set the is rotating to 0. So if the key code is equal to 39, we're going to say is rotating equals 0. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to copy this, save myself some time, and then I'm going to change this to else if, change the key code to 37, and boom, we have it for the left and the right. So now when I run this, should hit the right. Oh, remember, you gotta click on your program. If I hold the right down, it moves. When I let go, it stops. Left, down, let go, it stops. Perfect. And go left, right, boom, boom, boom. Perfect. All right, if you could have me or Mr. Laban come around and check and see if this is the point that you got to and that your code's working properly, then we will check you off for this assignment. See you in the next part.